We're here today to talk about the Homeful report. There are a number of findings that have come out of the research I've undertaken over the last year as part of the Chartered Institute of Housing Homeful campaign. And we've brought together some sector leaders, people from charities and those who are interested in providing social housing for the future to help resolve and prevent homelessness for good.
The front door, basically, having your own space.
First of all, it's got to be people-centred. It's got to be listening to the needs of the people, what they want, and it isn't one-size-fits-all. It's got to be in the right area where there can be connectivity, and it's not just about the bricks and mortar. It's about quality, it's about security, and it's about those wraparound services that turn it from a house into a home.
42% of our client group have got at least 3 additional needs on top of their homelessness, and they're needs that they identify themselves when they come to us. So that might be things like mental health, substance misuse, there might be domestic violence or relationship problems, they might have been rough sleeping, physical health problems. So yeah, we do see people with quite complex needs, and equally we see people who have just fallen into housing difficulty and actually with a relatively small amount of support can get back up on their feet and be quite independent. So that's why we have a very flexible approach to support, because it really is down to the individual and what they need. So there isn't a one size fits all. It is a very personalised approach to support at Action Homeless.
Okay. Have you contacted the Housing Options team at all?
We hear from people with lived experience that they can find it very difficult to navigate the services that are there, and as a service provider we kind of know that there is a lot of support and help out there, but the missing bit is getting that to people that need it. And often if people are rough sleeping or homelessness has kind of crept up on them, they might not be aware of the kind of vast range of services, but there has been some really positive work in that area in the city. We now have a Leicester's Homelessness Charter, which is a coalition of all the organisations, community groups, statutory agencies that are there to support people who are homeless.
It started off because we had people not talking to people. And they won't talk to me, and I don't know what they're doing, and and so people said, let's get together and let's try and just share what we're doing. And it grew from that, really, to say that actually we needed something more formal, and we needed somebody to if you like, to organise that and bring it together, and that's where I came in.
I'm looking at you, Rebecca. Yes.
Why should we bother to come together and talk about these things and do things together? Two good reasons. I mean, there's a multiplicity of reasons, but 2 good reasons. One is from the point of view of the client, the customer, services have to be coordinated, dots have to be joined. And the second reason is that there's so much you could do, so much people are doing. We don't want duplication of effort. We don't want gaps in service. And if we talk about these things and plan things strategically together, then we maximise the benefits of what everybody's trying to do.
I think the key messages that Chief Executive should be taking from the Homeful report are, I think, number one, that change is possible. That's probably the biggest takeaway for me of all, that you can do things differently. And the report looks at ways in which things have been done differently, but also has suggestions about how things could move further and faster. So that's probably the chief takeaway for me, is that you can do things differently.
The key thing that seemed to come out in terms of ways of working were about the agility and dynamism that was afforded.
So what might they do differently? They might understand their customers a bit better. They might have better relationships with local authorities around nomination arrangements. They might want to think about new models of housing and sometimes support for younger people.
So she'll be here to check in on you every day and just see how you're getting on. But with regards to
Preventing homelessness is key. Ideally, we don't want to see people ever having made it to having to, spend a night on the streets or even requiring our services. More could be done to keep people in their homes, and that's probably where more attention needs to be focused.
At Grand Union Housing Group, where I work, what we've done is used a psychographic segmentation to inform us about our customers' capabilities and the things that they struggle with on a daily basis. I am convinced that in time that will help us sustain longer tenancies because we're putting the right support and interventions in place to enable people to remain in their homes rather than following legal routes to get them out of their homes when they fall into trouble. So I think that's what I think this report will lead to, is different conversations about how we can help young people be well housed and support them to stay well housed, rather than some of the alternatives that we see at the moment, which lead to lots of young people in crisis with no homes.
I mean, what are we all about as housing associations? We're about housing people who haven't got a home. That's the Homes for Cathy message, going back to Ken Loach's film Cathy Come Home 55 years ago. It was shown on BBC television. A lot of housing associations were formed then. We've been going for 50 years. We've built hundreds of thousands of homes, but we've still got a homelessness crisis. And to me, it's an enduring thing that housing associations should be focusing on homelessness. We've done it for 50 years. We need to be doing it for the next 50 years.
My hopes for a Homeful future are that social housing landlords, housing associations and local authorities can offer more in order to prevent homelessness, that they can continue offering the support, but also increase the number of properties that they can offer those who have experience of homelessness.
So my hopes for a Homeful future, I think for me it's about making sure that government, and we're in a pre-election period, there's nothing really in the two major party manifestos about housing and homelessness. I think one of the things I would like this report to do is to start influencing that debate so that we can solve the biggest housing crisis in a generation. And to do that, we need a housing minister with a longer tenure than the last half a dozen that we've had in our recent history.
Question that was asked earlier, what can the housing sector do? And this is an opportunity to kind of pick your brains really and get some ideas that we can take away. I guess my hopes for a Homeful future are that this report is a start of something. We've had lots of people in the room here today. We talked about building a voice, and also involving tenants and residents and people who need housing to deliver change and talk about what that change should look like and feel like. So I think my hope would be we can build on that, and as Inside Housing, which is the organisation I work for, that we can tell some of those stories and hopefully help build that conversation.
I think the important thing is we have to be resilient, we have to show the will, and we don't have to give up, because I think with a lot of the sort of conversations going on in the sector, there's a danger that homelessness can get lost in a lot of other noise that's going on. And homelessness, I know, is on the increase. There's a danger that people think, oh, it's gone away because we got everybody in over COVID. It's actually getting worse, and we need to do something to tackle it and turn that around.
So we absolutely need to get the government to get the impact that housing has on people's futures, that we need to build much more of it, that we need to be specific around the work that we are doing and think about young people and a whole range of housing solutions for different people so that everybody can be and have Homeful.